I still remember the first time I realized something was wrong, not with words, but with silence. It was a Tuesday night. I'd come home after a brutal day at the office, hands shaking from deadlines and phone calls, hoping for the comfort we'd always shared. She barely looked up from her phone. "I'm tired," she said, her voice flat. No hug, no kiss, no smile. Just the cold distance that had been creeping into our marriage for months. I asked her if everything was okay. She nodded, but her eyes, those eyes I thought I knew like the lines on my own hands, were elsewhere. By the weekend, the tension had become unbearable. I tried to bridge it with intimacy, hoping a touch, a laugh, a shared moment would reset whatever was broken. But every time I moved closer, she pulled back, whispered excuses, and shut the door on me. "Not tonight," she'd say. "I'm just not in the mood." I started questioning myself. Was I too tired? Too controlling? Too boring? Maybe the fault wasn't hers. It was mine. That thought haunted me in the quiet of the night, sitting on the edge of our bed while she slept, body curled away like I was a stranger. Then came the company party, the one she'd been excited about for weeks. She wore a dress I'd bought for her, the one I'd watched her twirl in during happier days. I thought it would be a chance to reconnect, to show her I was still here, still present. I offered my hand when the music started, but she recoiled, laughing nervously. "Maybe later," she whispered. I felt heat rise to my face, not embarrassment, not shame, but flicker of something darker, defiance. I couldn't ignore the pattern anymore. Over the past few months, her phone would buzz when she thought I wasn't looking. Calls she'd take in the bathroom. Messages deleted before I could see. Sudden work, projects that kept her late. I convinced myself it was paranoia, a projection of my insecurities. But the unease gnawed at me. The more I questioned, the more I noticed things. The faint scent of another perfume on her coat, a lipstick smudge she couldn't explain. Laughter on her phone that wasn't meant for me. At the party, I felt every eye on us, or maybe just the weight of my own attention. She tried to drag me to the buffet, to small talk with colleagues, to pretend nothing had changed. But I couldn't. I couldn't ignore the sting of rejection in her refusal. The humiliation I felt every time someone assumed we were the perfect couple. When the band struck a familiar slow song, I stood still, my hand hovering midair, waiting for her to take it. She smiled, expecting me to move, and I didn't. I let the moment pass. Later, I found the proof I had feared. It wasn't dramatic, no shouting, no confrontation, but the sting was immediate. Her phone, carelessly left on the counter, vibrated with a message I wasn't supposed to see. "Last night was amazing. Can't wait for tomorrow." My heart dropped. I stared at the words, the name attached, the evidence of every whispered doubt I fought to ignore. I didn't confront her immediately. I watched her, studied her, remembering all the little things that now felt like lies. The dinners she claimed were with friends, the weekend trips she said were solo errands. Every memory I'd cherished twisted into something sharper, something dangerous in its clarity. I felt anger, betrayal, sorrow, and disbelief swirl inside me like a storm with no end. I remembered our wedding day, our quiet Sunday mornings, her laughter echoing in the kitchen. Those moments didn't vanish. They just became another layer of ache. The next day, I asked her to talk. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the sunlight cutting lines across her face. She avoided my eyes at first, then finally admitted everything. She spoke of loneliness, of growing apart, a mistake she couldn't undo. I listened. I loved her enough to hear her pain, but not enough to forgive what she had done without understanding the why. I told her what I had seen. There were tears, apologies, excuses, but no magic words to fix the fracture between us. I realized in that love, no matter how deep, doesn't erase betrayal. It doesn't erase the sting of months of cold shoulders and silent nights. I told her I needed space, that I needed to reclaim my dignity, that I could not stay in a house where trust had been replaced with secrecy. Walking away was the hardest part, not the leaving itself, but the quiet moments afterward, the echo of her voice, the memory of our hands touching in happier times, the slow recognition that some chapters end not with bang, but with the simple, steady step of walking out the door. Months later, I looked back and I don't hate her. I don't even fully hate myself for staying as long as I did. I feel the lessons etched into my heart. Trust is fragile. Love is not always enough. And sometimes self-respect means letting go. And every time I hear a slow song, I feel the tug of memory, but also the strength I found when I finally refused to dance with betrayal.